What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how you can get Honor Grad while at Air Force basic military training. But before we jump into that exciting stuff, let's cover the basics. My name is Michael Inman and I'm an airman in the United States Air Force. I upload a video here every Monday, so if you like military and or Air Force content, definitely hit the subscribe button and make sure you turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload a brand new video. Without further ado, let's get it. Becoming an Honor Grad while at basic military training is a great way to set yourself up for success for your first annual performance review. In the military, we call it an EPR, but pretty much it's the opportunity for you to sit down with your supervisor and reflect on kind of what you've done well, what you haven't done well, and also what impact you've had both in your community and in the Air Force. Well, for your first one, the first one you get to do while in the military, it's a really strong starting point to be able to say you were an Honor Grad, because it just kind of signifies that even right at the beginning of your military career, you were focused in trying to kind of put your best foot forward. This video is going to break down who's allowed to get it and is it worth it or not. So without further ado, let us dive into the eligibility requirements to get Honor Grad. The first thing to kind of try not to get if you are going for Honor Grad. Now, of course, I've heard of people getting it by accident. That's amazing. Props to you. But if it is your goal to get Honor Grad going into BMT, the first thing to just try to not happen is disciplinary paperwork. Excluding 341s, which are used as kind of training or just learning devices during your time at BMT, anything above a 341 does disqualify you for Honor Graduate. I know it's unfortunate, but that's just kind of one of the ways they keep it select and try to keep it as something, prestigious to try to go for. And so some of those things, of course, include official comments that you have to sign. So if you, let's say, get the same type of 341, like, they've addressed something with you a few times and it's just ain't getting no better, then after, let's say, three 341s being pulled, they probably will upgrade you to having a signed comment. So it's a more official document and you have to, of course, go in there with your official identification card, insert it and sign that you have receipt of that, comment on your file. And so that is one level of, disciplinary paperwork that would disqualify you. And then of course there are tiers above that that eventually just lead to separation. But some of those do include, let's see, LOC, LOR, articles, all of the things. I'm sure you're well aware that you should avoid all of those. During your time at BMT, if you want Honor Grad, please just stay in the realm of 341s. And when you get a 341 pulled, that's what they call it when when an MTI says, you're doing X wrong, here you go, fix it. So when your 341 is pulled, just address that issue, in your noggin and move forward. Let's move on to another, eligibility factor for Honor Grad. The next would be no failed graded inspections. And so I'm sure when you're watching all these videos on YouTube, you see, locker inspections and maybe blues inspections. Any formal inspection, whether it be of your attire and or your locker or any other inspection, you cannot fail any of them during your BMT experience. But there's a caveat, don't worry. Within each inspection, so let's say there's 3 official inspections of your locker and just, your dress and appearance throughout BMT. There's 3 of those. At each inspection, as you go through them, you can get less and less demerits, aka you can have less things wrong. But no matter what, even on the final inspection, you can still have a couple things wrong and not fail the entire thing. And so demerit, okay. Failures, not okay. Next, we have the final PT test. Now, of course, a lot of people are nervous about this. I totally get it. If you see my other videos, you guys know I don't think I could do more than 11 sit-ups in the beginning. But look at me now. So you cannot fail your final PT test if you want Honor Grad. You do need to get not only past the final PT test, but specifically you need to get a 90 or above. And that's the thing that gets a lot of people. And so if you are really going for honor grad, it would behoove you to like adjust yourself to the 3 forms of PT that you are going to be graded on at the end of BMT. Let's say you know you want honor grad and you know PT is something that's going to be the more difficult of the 2 final tests that you need to do well on to qualify for honor grad, then I would say to you, for the month and a half leading up to BMT, maybe get used to what a mile and a half feels like, so then you can just be working on your speed when you get to BMT. Continuing on, I probably should have done a few more sit-ups before I went, but it worked out for me. It may not work out for you, I don't know. But in hindsight, I should have been doing some sit-ups before I showed up to BMT. And finally, just getting used to doing push-ups at more of a rapid pace so that when you get to BMT, that's pretty much what you're working on, is how efficient can I now, pump out the push-ups to hit my number that I have in mind to get you to the 90 score. So if you're just barely doing well in push-ups, then your sit-ups and your run need to compensate for that score, because it's a comprehensive score, the PT test, which means you can play that to your favor. If, let's say, running is your weakest thing and you're gonna really, in the running category, you're really only scoring what is equivalent to, let's say, an 85, 88%. Well, if you know you can max out the sit-ups and push-ups, you just worked the system and you're above a 90. The last thing worth discussing is the end of course test. Now, of course, last week we did discuss that more in depth. Just know that for honor grad, you need to score a 90 or above on that test. Now we're going to go into the section of the kind of honor grad calculation that helps you get a little bit more ahead. So if all of those eligibility requirements create your base points, that's what we're going to call it. It creates your base points for, getting honor grad. At the end of the day, you are being considered against every other individual that is going to graduate BMT the same day as you. So across all of the individuals and all of the different flights you've been seeing around base while you're marching left and marching right, all of those people who are eligible for honor grad, you're all being compared. So now that we understand your base point structure, EOC, PT test, and not getting into trouble, what are the things that can help raise your points, even if marginally, to make sure that you're still in the top 10% of that larger pool, and thus you get to graduate with honors? Flight leadership positions, they are the things that give you additional points that help bump your base point just a bit higher to make it even more statistically probable that you are thus in the top 10% points-wise of everyone else in the eligibility pool. Dorm chief gets 3 additional points toward honor grad. Element leaders get 2. The guidon bearer gets 1. And then also on top of that, beast monitors, I think all 5, they all get 1 point. And lastly, the chow runner, they get a point. If you are any of those roles, again, dorm chief, element leaders, beast monitors, guidon bearer, or chow runner, you will have additional points or an additional point awarded to you in the calculation for honor graduate. And that is going to, when you take your base points and your bonus points or your additional points and you get your final number, that is going to be the number that they have hypothetically in an Excel database in which out of everyone graduating the same day, the entire pool of people eligible, if you do a formula that just tells you what is the top 10% in regards to scores, these are going to be the honor grads. So you are kind of wanting to aspire for the highest EOC score you can and the highest PT test you can, because if you are above 95 in both of those, then you're already well above the people who barely made it. So if you've got a 91 or a 90 on the PT test, or let's say a 90 or 91 on the EOC test, you're really gonna need those bonus points to get to the top 10% of the pool, of the eligibility pool. But if you already slid in there being like, I have a 95 and a 96. And I was an element leader. You're in a good spot. So try to be that. Try to be that person. She or he, whoever they are, do that. So when you're an honor graduate, you do have a separate graduation ceremony, which happens right before the larger ceremony. And all that means is, and you're going to rehearse this, so you will have to do a rehearsal earlier in the week of graduation or the week prior. But all that means is, before the larger ceremony for graduation starts, all of the honor grads from all of the flights across base are going to be lined up in a very long line. And then we were marched to the middle of like the parade field, standing facing the bleachers with all of our families and friends. And then you will be taught this. It feels very, it feels pageant-like. But anywho, they will hammer into you that it is a step forward or a step and a half forward. I think it's an about phase. I'm not teaching this correctly, but just know, you'll be taught this. It will seem very easy, yet they're going to be like, don't mess it up though. And somehow you or someone next to you will somehow mess it up. Because it's just, it seems simple, but then you overthink it when they say your name. That will happen, the ceremony will happen, and then you will have to quickly find your flight who is like, you know, getting ready for the larger ceremony. They're already like in their very specific parking spot because all the flights have parking spots. And you have to find your flight, get back into where you stand naturally when your whole flight is marching. And then the big ceremony is a go. It's like theater, it's production. You start the show. Now, in conclusion, everyone, let's just quickly discuss benefits, pros, and cons. Is it worth the stress of having to get your PT score that high and or actually having to review and study all of that academic material for the EOC test? Are the benefits worth the effort? Let's quickly discuss it. Pros include, as we just discussed, it is nice to hear your name, and it's nice to be kind of part of the prestigious group that finished BMT in that capacity. Like I do like that I have the extra ribbon when I'm in blues. It's nice. Also, you do get an extra, before 2020 and 2021, you do get an extra day pass to enjoy the local town, let's say San Antonio. You do get to enjoy, you know, the local area for one extra day, while the rest of your peers usually will have a base pass where you can just, you know, go to the Popeyes and stuff on base. The honor grads do get to have an extra day on Sunday to leave base and to continue exploring San Antonio. So that's amazing. That's lit. That's legit. That's lit. That's a win. And finally, the last benefit, as we've actually already discussed, it is a nice thing to have on your first annual performance review, but it's just not make it or break it, guys. The conclusion of this video, thank you for watching this far, is that it's nice to have it, but if we're being honest, it is really not that necessary. I have never gotten anything like crazy special from being an honor grad. No, like no one's like, you're an honor grad, you get to be the leader of this group. No. It's a personal accomplishment. That's all it is. It's just in your head. You're like, that was nice. Oh yeah, your MTI will see it on your file and be like, oh, you're an honor grad. Huh, nice job. And it'll never come up ever again. So, you take that how you want to take it. Meaning if you're like, it needs to be worth more for me to put in that amount of effort, I get it, don't worry. But on the flip side, if you're like, having that moment in which your MTI does acknowledge it, even if it happens for some people and others don't, but just knowing all your MTIs and MTLs, both like everyone in tech school will see that you were an honor grad. Even if they don't think about it much, they at least will know, okay, this airman from the very first start of their military career was putting forth effort. If you want that to be your narrative, then it does matter to you, and I say play the game and try to get honor grad. But I totally understand the people who are like, I'll be fine. Like, let me just get through basic training get through tech school, start my job, and let me just focus on doing my job well. How about that? Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I always love chit-chatting. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment any questions or concerns you have, and definitely like the video because it definitely helps out. I will be seeing you next week, but if you just can't wait, I am available on Instagram and Twitter at michaelalnman_. Have a great rest of your day. Have an excellent week, and until next time, bye.